Now, Reverend Glenn, you have the mic.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ironically, the last thing my mother in my life today said to me this morning as she drove away with our daughter taking her back to Tampa to school was, "Don't forget to say Happy Mother's Day to the church." I says, "I don't think I'll be allowed to forget that." And as you
Oh,
drive away and leave me alone on
and leave
Mother's
you
Day,
alone, right?
even taking the dog because they do their veterinary services up there. Yeah, I'm spending Mother's Day here with you folks. So thanks a
All
lot.
right. You're welcome, welcome. And of
Okay.
course, happy Mother's Day to you as well.
All right. Great. Well,
Great.
into today's lesson, God looked upon the works of man. Title came to me just as natural as someone was sharing a story with me, and the realization that we make plans and God laughs, and so that's where we are with this. The science of mind teaches us again and again that Spirit provides for us as we believe. That's the important word. Believe. Not what we tell others, but what we truly believe. Now, science of mind teaching may not come out and say it in so many words, but I will. Spirit is dumb as a post, has less discretion than a box of rocks, and can't be trusted to read our minds. You see, Spirit can only create from the guidelines we provide from our subconsciousness. Spirit is moved by what we empower internally, not by our lofty words designed to impress the masses. But what it lacks in line of sight intuition, Spirit makes up for with multidimensional imagination. Spirit takes us where we want to go. But woe to those who think we plot the course. Take, for example, the story of a man who knew in his heart of hearts that his advancing years inevitably brought challenges unknown to a younger man's body. Now, this example is shared by permission with the client's anonymity, of course, protected. So he shares that, symptoms began to creep in as like messengers in the night. He saw commercials on TV that were generated or created to generate profit from our fears and planted seeds of concern scattered across snippets of legitimate information and rather broad assumptions. And so the man set out on a search, convinced he knew what he was finding. But spirit,
Recording in progress.
but spirit cared not for what the man thought he knew. Spirit revealed a treasure of knowledge the man never suspected was there. The treasure truly sought by the man's subconscious mind, despite what his conscious mind declared. This principle of mind is so basic to our teachings, Ernest Holm addresses it in the first pages of the Science of Mind text. He writes, for example, the subconscious mind acts upon our thoughts. It is the mental law of our being and the creative factor within us. You see, here we are being primed to understand the interwoven nature of the universe. There exists a subconscious mind, but we express individualized thoughts. This subconscious mind creates for us, but it is within us, and we are expressions of this subconscious thought. becomes confusing. So it is here that we are wise to learn the practice of meditation. Meditation is a tool that allows us to still our busy, multitasking conscious minds so we may decompress and let our inner eye unravel the tapestry of daily experiences into fathomable, simple singularities. If you have ever seen the program on TV called The Good Doctor, you'll seen episodes or segments where the main character takes a really complicated problem that the doctors are trying to solve, and they put on the screen the deconstruction process in his mind where he opens a heart or a brain and you see the individual veins and nerves, and he separates it all out, and suddenly it becomes clear to him what needs to be done. And that's what we do with meditation. We decompress these interwoven threads of the tapestry in our life and begin to see the interconnections clearly and thus understand them better. The first truth of understanding revealed is the reality of an infinite power that is constantly reconstituting itself through suggestions generated by itself in the form of our human choices. Now, this is where many become mired in the swamp because they have convinced themselves they know what they do not know. Let yourself be guided by the mystery I am sure some sage mystic has offered somewhere in time. It is the whole concept of infinite that tricks up the uninitiated. The ability to accept that all things, real, imagined, unknown, and known, exist simultaneously, side by side, and commingled in real time within spirit. It is the metaphysical practice of walking and chewing gum at the same time. The subconscious mind acts upon our thoughts. Our thoughts suggest individuality, and individuality suggests separation, an existence apart from the subconscious who's doing the acting. Calm your mind, grasshopper. In the realm of spirit, our thoughts are already existing within the universal subconscious. Everything is confined within the infinite, and the infinite is without boundaries. The creative power creates from itself. There is nothing else for it to work with. It is no wonder the great spiritual philosophers share an affinity for fine wines, and why so many among us are susceptible to simple answers, directives that remove us from needing to see all the facets simultaneously while trying to maintain our sanity. For those of you watching this recording in the future may want to pause here, seek out your favorite mountain retreat, and reflect on the foregoing revelations for a few months before moving on. But for those of you live with us this morning, just stick a pin in it for now and hang on. There's more. Holmes writes again, this can be no other than our individual use of that greater subjective mind, which is the seat of all mental law and action, and is the servant of the eternal spirit throughout the ages. We are using what we already have to create something new. In mathematics, we take the 2 we already have, add to it 3 more, which also we already have, and behold, create 5, which was not there, but did in spirit already exist. Confused yet? School children are taught to visualize this process by using physical objects, blocks, balls, anything tangible, to add dimension and enlist their senses in the learning process. But in reality, the numbers 2, 3, 5, or any others are only ideas in our mind employed as tools to help us quantify concepts in our little 3-dimensional world. The infinite universe of spirit exists without the aid of a single slide rule, calculator, computer, CAD program, or 3D printer. Yet it functions perfectly and evolves constantly. The greater subjective mind, the servant of the eternal spirit, is at our disposal, awaiting our command. Holmes continues, man's thought, falling into his subjective mind, merges with the universal subjective mind and becomes the law of his life through the one great law of all life. Holmes is reminding us we are not victims of our life. We are the architects of our experiences. The common consciousness of human experience, however, is polluted with false ideas put forth to control our thinking. It almost seems there is a conspiracy afoot engineered by some few who really do understand the inner workings of spirit and have co-opted its power for their own purposes, but alas, the reality falls closer to home. The common consciousness is the sum total of all the free choices of all the sentient beings who have ever lived. Our dogs, our cats, our horses, and even the whales in the sea have done their best to hold things together, expressing unconditional love without hesitation. Well, except maybe for that one white whale incident, but, can you really blame him? The free choices of human through the millennia, however, have left the common consciousness a quagmire of conflictions that have only recently, in the overall realm of time, begun to curve more sharply toward realignment with spiritual truth. And that offers a glimmer of hope. The realization that we are collectively beginning to get it. There have always been enlightened individuals, and they have helped pave the way for us, but with our ability to communicate so rapidly today, I think the truth is getting out there faster and faster. I see it everywhere I look, but then I'm programmed to see it. I hope you too are learning to be programmed to see the truth in the multiple examples around us every day and reinforce them. Reinforce them with your own unconditional love. As individuals, we are more and more making choices that reflect spiritual principles. We allow ourselves to receive messages of universal truth rather than bending evidence to fit pre-directed outcomes. We allow ourselves to see the threads that make up the tapestry of life around us and recognize and appreciate each for its contribution to the whole. We allow ourselves to evolve without judgment, recognizing our missteps, our trespasses, if you will, and realigning with only the effort to think it, know it, and believe it at our core. Our thoughts, our true subjective beliefs blend with the universal subjective mind, reconstituting itself to evolve our experiences, gently bending the common consciousness back into alignment with spiritual principles. From Holmes again, this reminder: there are not two subjective minds. There is but one subjective mind, and what we call our subjective mind is really the use we are making of the one law. Each individual maintains his identity in law through his personal use of it, and each is drawing from life what he thinks into it. The one subjective mind blends seamlessly with our subjective mind. The infinite cannot be apart from itself. Our choices are our own to make, and the consequences ours to enjoy. With understanding, we make choices whose consequences are enjoyable. The man in our story thought he knew what he was looking for and set out to find evidence supporting his belief. His conscious belief, however, was built on a foundation of suggestion, fear, half-truths, and a generous helping of common consciousness. But some would say this man was lucky. Others know his luck is simply the consequence of spiritual awakening. The man in our story knew in his subconscious that he did not know what evidence he needed to discover to find his truth. The man in our story set out on his voyage of discovery with an open mind, open enough to allow his belief to evolve as discoveries were revealed. He knew the truth he expected to prove may, in fact, be only a piece of the puzzle and not the full picture. But he also knew nothing he knew would remain unknown until he ventured out onto his journey of discovery. He had to admit to himself first that there was a truth to be uncovered. He had to allow himself to face his fears and let the truth be revealed. And so he took the first step. And before his second step touched the ground, the path twisted beneath him, leading off into a totally unpredictable trajectory. Acting on his true desire to simply know the truth, Spirit introduced a random series of experiences that forced decisions that might never have been selected otherwise. The consequence being to reveal underlying issues that were heretofore unsuspected and could have gone untreated without their inadvertent discovery. God looked upon the works of this man and, always allowing for choice, played along through the long, arduous journey of discovery that twisted this way and that, bounced off a wall here, fell off a cliff there, slipped, climbed, ran straight and fast, and dragged itself through the briar patch. All leading to an individual consciousness realigning with the one subjective mind so that an unexpected treasure of knowledge could be revealed, recognized, and incorporated into the next decision, and the next, and the one following that. Knowing each choice revealed more treasure, and each treasure informs more choices. The eternal life always gives us what we truly believe. Our responsibility is to understand and focus our thoughts toward our spiritual truth. Love unconditionally, forgive freely, evolve spontaneously, and give up any hope of getting it right every time. Even whales have a bad day occasionally. It doesn't make them all monsters. And God knows that too. You may have noticed and even been disappointed by a shocking lack of detail regarding the ailments and conditions the man discovered. This too is by design. Spirit is unconcerned with such detail, and so too should be we. In spiritual practice, it is never the condition before us that is important. We focus on the spiritual truth, and it is this focus that brings us to the treasure we seek. In spirit, there is no ailment, only perfect health. But that is a lesson for another day. Thank you for your attention, and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Reverend.